it's putting the antenna up and being ready to receive.
Are you also listening to Rick Rubin's audiobook?
In
Because
some
I
ways,
started it today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How far into it are you?
Oh, like 20 minutes. Not far at all.
Okay. I am excited for you.
Have you already read it or heard it?
I have.
Yeah, what'd you think? I'd love to be able to take it in with your perception of it already in mind.
You don't think that spoils it and or primes it too much?
No, I think it gives me a unique take, a unique approach to it. I want to be able to take it in knowing how you feel about it.
The headline is this: he is my kind of woo-woo.
That was almost the name of his book, My Kind of Woo-Woo.
Because he's talking about things that are metaphorically true.
Yes.
And as someone who tries and fails, but continues to try to strike the balance between literally true and metaphorically true, I really appreciate his perspective, because the one that I need more help with most of the time is metaphorical truth.
I think you and I are the same in that we sometimes struggle to give ourselves over to what just sounds emotionally correct.
Mm-hmm.
Is that accurate?
Yes.
And that's Rick Rubin's whole deal, is nailing down what's emotionally correct.
And I'll speak for myself here when I say this spans the physical realm as well, because when someone says, find what feels good, my immediate follow-up is, how do I know what that feels like?
He's an interesting guy, for sure.
I think he is, in many ways, and especially in this book, humble, and possibly in a way that's bordering on a lack of self-awareness.
You think so? He strikes me as like one of the most self-aware dudes around.
I'll say more what I mean by that, in that he genuinely believes that he is not anything special.
Yeah, okay. Yes.
And I love that you were just channeling creativity there. The muse. You're channeling the muse. I think he sees a potential in every person that every person may, in fact, not have.
Oh, ooh, okay. Because that was a point that's already come up in my first 20 minutes or so of listening, where I was nodding my head going, agreed. That idea that we're all capable of creativity. We're all capable even of making art if we choose to go that route. And certainly some people will appear better at that than others. But as a public high school teacher who believes that everyone has a story worth sharing and everyone can tell that story, and there's a best way to articulate yourself and express yourself in the story that you have. Yeah, I bought into that completely. I do believe I'm on Team Rubin here.
And if I were to talk about every other muscle in the body except for the brain, I think people in mass would agree with me. Because if I said everyone has the potential to be as tall as me, we could talk about making sure that you don't stunt your growth when you're a child, don't have caffeine.
Sure.
There are things you can change when it comes to muscle mass and bone density. When it comes to these things that you can change, you can ignore, and they will have negative effects. But where your starting point is and where your ending point is finite. And they are different from person to person.
Yeah, I don't think he's even arguing that everyone's capable of great art.
So this is what I'm saying. That is a blind spot for him, because he doesn't recognize areas where he is naturally gifted.
Fair. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this is like nurture kind of stuff. And, we've got neuroplasticity to just you can't make yourself taller, but you can get ripped, whether you're, genetically inclined to be ripped or not. And you can dive into the act of creative thinking enough to where you're better at it than anybody else.
I think that further demonstrates my point, though. Because if you talk to anyone in bodybuilding. They will be the first to recognize what impact genetics has on both your starting point and your ceiling.
Sure. Yes. But there are plenty of people out there with those genetic inclinations who don't become bodybuilders because they don't choose that path. They don't work on that muscle. And there are a million Rick Rubins out there who didn't dedicate their lives to creative thinking.
And I'll just reiterate, I am talking about the inches here. Like, I am talking about the 5% of him. I think 95% of what he talks about is about everything relative to your potential. So he knows that people start in different places, and he started in a different place, and other people start in different places. And I think he recognizes that there are some people who are naturally gifted, but you can choose to use those talents or not. But I think there are some corners where he will do a few, we'll say, mental shortcuts.
He's not giving himself enough credit.
Right. In some very specific areas. It
would be like a Michael Jordan saying, well, anyone can play basketball. You just gotta dribble like this and dunk like this. And maybe it's not so easy for everybody, Rick Rubin.
Yeah. And if I were to stretch that same analogy, let's say that Michael Jordan had a camp where he said,
can we change this to Larry Bird?
Oh, yeah, I like it.
Okay.
So let's say Larry Bird.
Not a race thing, by the way, just context.
Just relevant. A purity thing. Larry played the game in a very pure way. It's very traditional.
I just thought it was relevant to the minute. Now we're going to get more emails.
So let's say Michael Jordan is doing a camp with Larry Bird.
Yeah, okay.
Let's say the animated athlete superstars were hosting a camp.
We're talking Michael Jordan. We're talking Bo Jackson. We're talking Wayne Gretzky.
Right.
The pro stars.
So all the pro stars.
Plus Larry Bird. Man, he had to have felt slighted. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But I mean, at the same time, like, in his sport, he wasn't the guy.
Like, but who else is in that camp of athletic superstars of like the mid to late 80s who weren't asked to be a pro star?
Ooh, Deion Sanders.
Oh, yeah. There had to have been like some hurt feelings, like letters from agents, like snubs at parties.
Flip side, it might have been a budget thing. Maybe some would do it for ego, but they weren't offering enough for the work.
Okay. Like Bruce Jenner wanted too much money.
Right. Everybody has their reasons, right? So Michael does it for ego. Gretzky does it.
He does it for the kids.
Right. And Bo Jackson was the fifth choice.
Interesting.
I'm ashamed to admit how much I would pay to have seen all those initial offer letters and lists and whiteboard drawings.
I'd pay for a book if anyone has the energy to write it about the oral history of 80s cartoon pro stars.
Which did not feature Larry Bird.
But you know what does feature Larry Bird?
Larry Bird Goes West, An American Tale. Exclusively on VHS.
No, Jared, I think the 24th minute of Home Alone features at least a plastic replica of Larry Bird.
One might call it an idol. A carved idol.
It's not carved, it's molded, right?
Yeah, I mean, yes, but the initial mold would be a reverse from a carving.
Okay.
Right?
I honestly don't know how the starting lineup action figures were made.
Blood, sweat, tears.
And don't forget a little bit of Rick Rubin-esque creative thinking.
Great book. Great guy. That's all I've got to say.
Forward review. Jared, do you want to summarize minute 24 for us?
I would love to.
Please.
Bear with me, audience.
Please do.
Minute 24 is, I believe, 2 parts. It is a bridge from Buzz's room into the kitchen where Kevin has taken Buzz's BB gun, lined up some action figures, shot them with incredible accuracy, and we do a cut to a second piece. And if you're asking, yes, all within the same minute. The second piece is the beginnings of Kevin eating junk food and watching rubbish, namely Angels with Filthy Souls.
Okay. Great summary, Jared. Thank you for that. Let's all take a minute.
A Home Alone minute?
Yeah. Okay. Where do we want to dive in? Let's start with this first half, right?
Let's talk about Larry Bird.
Let's talk about...
Let's just talk about starting lineup in general.
Honestly, I didn't recognize nor could I identify the other three athletes here. Could you pinpoint them? Larry Bird's the only one that I easily recognized because of the green jersey and, I'll admit, the white skin.
Well, he's the outlier, right?
It's clearly Larry Bird. There are three other guys, and I don't know who they are.
I'm trying to do it from memory, and I'm having a rough go of it. I can see positions in my head. Like I see a very forward leaning of the football character.
I feel stupid because the answer was easily Googleable. This is according to sportscardinfo.wordpress.com. Thank you, sportscardinfo. Let's see. Okay, the four figures are Babe Ruth, Mark Bavaro, Neil Anderson, and Larry Bird.
So that's a little surprising because I would have assumed and thought that they were all popular athletes of the time.
Well, they were all starting lineup figures that were released at the time. Babe Ruth came in a 2-pack with Lou Gehrig, released in 1989. Mark Bavaro, released in 1989. New York Giants football player. Neil Anderson is a 1988 release. He's a football player. Who's he playing for? I don't know. And then Larry Bird. He's from the 88 set as well. So there we go.
Yeah.
Maybe I can edit that to make it sound like I just knew that.
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh,
can we do that?
Well, we all know that these four figures are Babe Ruth, Mark Bavaro, Neil Anderson, and Larry Bird. Didn't have to look that up or anything. Clean cut, hold for room tone, and good. And of course, a spatula, which came out.
I was about to say, who's the tall one?
It's a spatula. He was in the 88 set. He won a Super Bowl with the Jets.
He was in a 2-pack with a spoon.
With the world's longest pepper grinder. But you're right. He looks up, he sees this BB gun and gets a flash of inspiration, which is a great indicator of some Rick Rubin-esque creative thinking on Kevin's part. I think this is a fun little challenge has set up for himself. A less creative kid would maybe go outside and shoot an animal, shoot the mailman, shoot the mailbox, just shoot a hole in Buzz's wall,
shoot his eye out
in another Christmas movie. But he's got this game figured out. Originally in the script, Kevin just throws the action figures down the laundry chute. That's all he does. He just hand throws them. He doesn't shoot them off.
I'm going to do a anime style question mark above the head. What?
Yeah. He just sort of, he makes some sort of joke about like, oh, I'll just put these here. And he's like just throwing the action figures down the laundry chute. Maybe that seemed like that would be visually fun enough. I think as a kid, it would be fun, like to take your brother's action figures and just like drop them down from the second story down into the basement laundry chute. But a BB gun is, one, much more visually interesting. Two, foreshadows all the BB work we'll be seeing later on in the movie.
Yeah, it tells us that Kevin is clearly reincarnated and had a previous life as a sniper.
He, like you said, he's such a good shot. It's pretty remarkable.
Remarkable
marksmanship. Did you notice in the laundry hamper, and I think I meant to point it out on the basement episode of the Home Alone Minute, and maybe I don't think I got a chance to, but there's a Beach Boys shirt in this laundry basket. There's like a red and white striped. It's a Beach Boy shirt.
When you say Beach Boys shirt, what do you? It's exclusively worn by Beach Boys. Are you saying that it's probably from costume department?
No, it looks like a shirt that the Beach Boys wore.
Oh, it's like red and white stripes.
Yeah,
but has been washed enough times that it's pink.
I think it's still pretty red. Whatever detergent Kate's using, it's really holding up those colors. Which would make sense. As a fashion designer, she probably knows how to take care of some fabric. So they thought it all through.
Yeah, I won't pretend to remember everything that was in that basket. I think there was some jeans in there, I think, as well. But
just the Beach Boys shirt really stuck out to me.
but not Beach Boys of the time, right? Because in this era, Beach Boys were then in the Stamos era, right?
Yeah, this is Kokomo era Beach Boys. Yeah. And if we're sticking to like, the Rick Rubin-ness of all this, a less artistically true version, maybe, possible, arguably. I'm sure all sorts of people prefer Kokomo to early Beach Boys, but not this guy.
No one on the internet, though. None of the people who are blogging prefer Kokomo unless they're trolling. The music elitists on the internet are all very vocal and very aligned on early Beach Boys catalog.
If you prefer Kokomo to early Beach Boys, we'd love to hear from you at thehomealoneminute@gmail.com.
In addition to marksmanship, I think there's a small display of Kevin's penchant for order of operations.
Okay.
Because he shoots each figure and then shoots the spatula.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's intentional or not, I think this does add to his systems level thinking that led to his ability to protect the house.
Now, if we want to get into Kevin's systems level thinking, it's maybe only fair to point out the absolutely insane approach he's taken to making an ice cream sundae.
I assume you mean everything being out on the counter, and there's spills of all kinds.
These are like toddler level spills.
Yes.
The ice cream's still out. The cherry jar is upright, but it's been spilled.
I like to believe that he did the scene like they wanted a real version of this, and they said, here's a bowl, make a giant sundae for yourself. And he did.
Oh, I like that.
And they were able to keep the sundae itself, but the actual mess he left probably wasn't that great.
They had to spruce up the mess. They had to mess up the mess.
And it does seem like there's mess on mess. Like there's ice cream, there's melted ice cream and then chocolate on marshmallows that are on melted ice cream. It's like,
yeah, there's like goo effortful on the bag of marshmallow. Like it would make a good like 500-piece puzzle. You know what I mean? Like there's all these like levels of details and stuff that just would be fun to piece back together. There are some puzzles in this TV room too.
There's a lot of media in this room.
Yeah, some of it's really hard to make out. But so as he's popping in Angels with Filthy Souls, what other two VHS boxes are on top of the VCR?
There's music, Rolling Stones and Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah. Do you think Kevin was watching those, or do you think that seems to me like what Peter watches?
Yeah, that's absolutely his. Like, I think this is Kevin's first use of the VCR in post disappearing.
This is the first movie that he went to, the movie that he wasn't allowed to watch.
For the purposes of this podcast and the larger cultural outgrowth therefrom, should we have an ADBC style abbreviation for pre and post I Made My Family Disappear?
In terms of like the stuff that gets set up versus the stuff that's getting paid off now?
Well, it's almost like it's an after the war, after the bomb kind of thing, where at least that was kind of how I was framing this, is that this is the first time Kevin's used this VCR since this all occurred. I don't think it's the first time he's used the VCR. Maybe it is, but I'm just thinking of it as this dystopian wasteland that he's left with. And
it does track that one of the first things he would do in a house alone is go watch the movie that they wouldn't let him watch at the beginning.
Spite is a powerful drug.
Sure is.
But yeah, I'm going with those are Peter's tapes.
Yeah, the Rolling Stones and Bruce Springsteen. Yeah, he is eating Buzz's Crunch Taters.
Right, the aforementioned. I mean, that was a whole minute ago, I think.
So long ago.
There's so much stuff in this room. And
yeah,
some of it makes sense, some of it doesn't. There's not a statue, but and not a figurine either. It's too big. It's my not rich is showing.
This is wainscoting all over again. All of our rich listeners are like, who are these dumb rednecks?
There's like
I don't even know what you're referring to. This is great.
Well, to me, it struck me as weirdly out of place because in the TV hole, we'll say, really had to that one. It was the best one that came through. In the TV hole, in the media wall, there is only one thing in the hole besides TV and VCR, and it's this almost Revolutionary War-esque looking figure. So it's not a nutcracker, so it's not seasonal decor. Like, this is a statuette that seems to be permanently placed there.
I think you landed on the right word at least. Statuette. Statuette. It's a girl statue. It's only 70% of a real statue.
30% off at Kirkland's. That to me was the most off-putting item.
I was struck by a board game I had never heard of.
Oh, Bargain Hunter?
Bargain Hunter. Yeah. Did you have Bargain Hunter? Have you ever seen Bargain Hunter before?
I've never seen it, but the reason it stood out to me was because its font drew me in, because it almost felt like it was like Battlestar Galactica or something.
Yeah.
But then when I processed what the words were, I was like, Bargain Hunter.
It's a weird font for the type of game it is. It is a... They call it the smart shopping game with lots of fun in store for you. And the little question to entice you to play is, will your credit be approved? And the board looks like a mall, and it comes with like lots of like fake money, and it comes with like a little credit card swiper thing. So and you like put your plastic credit card thing in it, and I guess it sort of like randomly says whether or not like your credit card is declined or approved to go buy stuff at the mall, to teach kids that buying stuff is cool.
And that it's purely random.
And it's good to charge things on a credit card.
How many of those same mechanics were reused in that style of board game? The Don't Wake Daddy, Bargain Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because even that, you like TikTok, right?
No. The Kesha song?
Am I getting you confused with somebody else?
With the rest of the world?
The pie game where you put your face.
Yeah, like it slaps you with some whipped cream if you time it wrong or something like that.
What's the same mechanic? It's some number of these will mean that it's your turn to get your charges declined.
Bargain Hunter is from 1981, so like a very, very 80s kind of board game that they would have, and it does look sort of like weathered on their shelf there, like they've had it about 8 years or so. This is an Uncle Frank present. If Uncle Rob got him the bubblegum machine that's upstairs, Uncle Frank got him Bargain Hunter.
What edition do you believe the world books are?
Something like 84. I bet we could even do the work to figure that out too. They change those styles pretty often. Yeah,
you could look at the spine and narrow it to maybe a fairly small window, right?
Did you have encyclopedias?
We had, now I'm blanking on them. It was geared towards children, though. It wasn't the Britannica set.
Yeah. I have this weird memory of a salesperson being at our house, and she was trying to sell my mom on some sort of encyclopedia type book. And I was there, and they asked me what the world's biggest animal was. And immediately after I just guessed giraffe, and my mom and the salesperson looked at me as if I had failed some sort of test, it dawned on me that maybe I'm supposed to like use these books to like find it. Like it was weird. It seems maybe my mom remembers this better than I do, but if that was her strategy, just ask a question, and if the boy can use the books that I've got a sale, put her faith in the wrong boy, because I'm just going to guess, like we do on this podcast all the time. Just speculate what probably happened instead of go to the Home Alone wiki, which probably actually has all the answers to the stuff that we're talking about.
They're fun vampires. It's the Rick Rubin thing. That might be literally true, but is it as fun? What else do you remember from the media wall? Anything?
There's like a puzzle, but like you can't see it. It's just a 1,000-piece puzzle, and like you can't tell
can't
what
make
it
out
is.
what it's of.
Yeah. I think this is maybe the last time that Kevin calls out to a family that isn't there. The theater term that we can't quite identify yet.
I don't think Kevin has any lines in this minute.
Oh, it comes up later? Okay, sorry. I'm jumping ahead, aren't I?
That is what we do here at the Home Alone Minute.
Aaron, I just love this movie so much. I want to talk about the whole thing. All right, well, let's talk about what we do see of Angels with Filthy Souls. As a kid, did you assume that this was a real movie?
I absolutely did.
I think everybody did. I think it's a great execution that way. It's such a stupid title, though. Angels with Filthy Souls. Like, of course that's not a real movie.
But it is, because having watched all of the, I guess, in-universe contemporary films, what I mean by that is all the films that would have been made in that era in real life that my dad watched, they all had titles like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they did have titles like that. And this is even sort of like a direct spoof of like a real movie, right?
Yeah.
It's gotta be tough for those actors to get work because everyone thinks that they've been dead for 40 years.
You may remember me from... Wait, whoa.
I was in Home Alone. No, you weren't. Yeah. Try to picture me in black and white and a trench coat.
I think it's just another area where they did the work.
You know how the Angels with Filthy Souls lore gets even deeper, and I don't know if you know this or not, but they use it in another movie. Do you know what other movie Angels with Filthy Souls shows up in?
Is it also a Steven Seagal movie?
I don't think so. It's not Under Siege.
I don't know.
This blew my mind when I saw it in the theater. Why did I see this movie in the theater? Was this a Movie Pass era? Jared, they play this same clip of Angels with Filthy Souls in the movie Detective Pikachu. I'll give you a moment.
Okay.
There's a scene where the main human character is also watching some sort of detective movie, and they needed a generic detective movie, and they use Angels with Filthy Souls.
Now, you've already helped me wrap my head around this one a little bit. This is mostly live action, and then Pikachu is CGI or something?
Yes.
Is he zapped into Pikachu world?
No, they live in a world where Pokemon and human beings coexist.
Oh, so he's already there. This is
sort of a Roger Rabbit situation.
Right. Okay. Got you. Or the first 90 seconds of Howard the Duck.
Speaking of Playboy.
Okay. So the detective character, how clear is it?
Is it? Yeah, okay. No, it's not like a subtle little detail that you would only notice if you paused it and zoomed in and sort of just, read the fine print or something. They're showing the same clip that Kevin's watching now.
And when you saw it, you said, this is what makes the Movie Pass worth it.
Yes. Crazy, huh?
Yeah, the McAllisters live in a world with Pokemon.
That makes it canon.
Right?
There's a sequel there. Forget all these other uninspired, non-McAllister Home Alone ripoffs. Let's get Macaulay and a Pikachu together.
See, I prefer looking at it this way as opposed to the more practical view of it's just the conglomeration of media in that the intellectual property is owned by two companies.
Yes.
Wow. That's
pretty crazy.
There's a lot there, and I apologize for just giving you dead air of me thinking about that.
It's okay. My editing process automatically cuts that out before I even notice.
I thought you were going to talk about Home Alone 2.
Nope, not till next season.
So we only get a few lines into Angels with Filthy Souls, but we get both characters speaking.
Yep. Who is it?
It's me. It's me.
Snakes. By the way, this guy does not look like a snakes.
Snakes. I don't know no snakes.
In the script, his name was Winston.
It's me, Winston?
Yep. So at some point they changed it. I think Snakes is a good choice, but this guy doesn't look like a snakes. He's too stocky. There's no stocky snakes. Those stocky snakes would be a good band name.
Yes. Silver Snakes.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think Johnny would be a better Snakes?
Johnny seems like a Johnny.
Yeah. So neither of them could really convince me that they're snakes.
No, not at all.
I think the question then is, did he do that or did someone else? Because if he's like, Winston's lame, it's not a gangster name. And they're like, fair. Do you have one in mind? He's like, yeah, Snakes.
Then they had to rack their brains for a little bit. Snakes. I don't know no snakes.
No, I've heard that name Snakes before.
And then in this minute, we get the last line, leave it on the doorstep and get the hell out of here, right?
Whoa, PG podcast.
Sorry. Leave it on the doorstep and get the H word out of here.
Well, we were talking about Gretzky earlier, so HE double hockey sticks.
There we go. 99.
He did it for the kids.
The Wish Kids.
Burger King Kids Club.
Ooh, KidVid.
Which I wouldn't have confused with the logos on the music VHS tapes, but I saw those colorful 90s logos on the tapes and was starting to think about that whole world of...
You were just taken to a graphic design aesthetic of yesteryear.
Right. I was like, oh, Burger King Kids Club and Ninja Turtles VHS. Wow. Which I think very well could be in this room somewhere.
What, a Ninja Turtle VHS tape? Or
I think so.
Okay. I'm not going to make you dig it up.
Oh, sorry. I'm still in Kevin's point of view.
Oh, you think that there are some Ninja Turtle tapes in Kevin's house?
Yeah. Although timeline-wise, that doesn't fit, actually, because that comes later, right?
Yeah. So like Ninja Turtles are just popping up on the scene around now. But yeah, it's very possible that he doesn't have any Ninja Turtle VHS tapes at least. He might have some action figures. Now I've got to Google it. Thanks, Jared. December 87. Definitely could have had some Ninja Turtles around here.
But the point at which Burger King is able to license them for Kids Club, that's a bit later, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Did the Ninja Turtles have a Burger King tie-in? Wow, they sure did. We were not a Burger King family, and I bet my dad happily avoided having to buy me all 4 of these Burger King Kids Club VHS tapes.
I do feel for my parents in that they probably ate several meals across various franchises that they had no desire to eat.
I definitely ate quite a few Happy Meals only to complete sets of Happy Meal toys. According to my research here, those Burger King Kids Club Ninja Turtle VHS tapes came out in 1990. So after the production of this movie. But the action figures Kevin could have had.
Totally.
Did shoot those with BBs? No. He shot his brothers.
Well, he could have off screen.
I don't think he would have shot his own stuff. I think part of the joy of that is shooting Buzz's things.
Yeah, I'll grant you that.
Thank you.
Yeah, Kevin's not that type. There were some kids in my neighborhood who were that kind of destructive, which definitely hurt my brain as a child.
The kids who don't appreciate the things that they were given.
Yeah.
Their own property.
Yeah, all of my stuff is still pristine, right? But see these kids with just legs missing off of things. You're like,
yeah,
grief.
Yeah. Or you'd go out into sort of the common areas, the cul-de-sac, the woods, and just find their stuff just lying there.
So yeah, Kevin doesn't strike me as the shoot his own figures type of guy, but he might have had the figures at least. So we end with dialogue within a film that sits within this film that is repeated, maybe 2 more times?
Yeah. They come back to this. They come back to it more than once after this.
So maybe we shouldn't spend too much time on this because we're going to get plenty of it in future episodes.
2 more times.
It's been a couple episodes since we've had an unsung hero.
Yeah.
I would love to know your nomination.
Ooh, can I nominate Larry Bird? Just kidding. I think the guy who is playing Johnny is doing great work here. His name is Ralph Foodie.
I consider myself a bit of a Ralph Foodie.
It just means you buy fancy things from Ralph's.
I'm a bit of a Ralph snob in that way.
Yeah, he's no longer with us, so he can't listen to the podcast and appreciate us calling him the unsung hero of this minute. But he's also in Curly Sue He was in the Blues Brothers and a couple other things that I don't recognize, but I'm going to give the Unsung Hero nomination to Ralph Foodie. Do you have somebody in mind?
I will second your motion, actually.
The motion carries.
If I were to have come in with one, it probably would have been whoever decided it was worth the effort to make this film within a film.
Yeah, this is in the script. It's more or less faithful to what got written down in terms of the dialogue for it. So I've
got John and Chris.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's perfect point I was trying to make is that I am not going to be giving credit where it's not already been given many times before. So yours is...
It might be fair to say that John Hughes is a sung hero of every minute.
I'd say that.
Yeah. But Mr. Foodie's remarkable work here is worth mentioning.
Yep. For those he left behind, you remember him fondly, know that he is continuing to spread joy even now.
Well said.
What would Rick Rubin say about this?
I think he would appreciate the childlike wonder of this scene of Kevin indulging himself and the freedom being expressed in this minute. I'm going to shoot my brother's action figures down the laundry chute. I'm going to make the biggest sundae I can and watch the dirtiest movie in the house. That's the childlike curiosity that Rick Rubin champions. I think he would argue for Kevin's right to party.
You can't just argue for it.
You got to fight.